All right, party people, we are wrapping up for the night, but we didn't want to leave without touching on some news that just hit the pipeline. And this is the revelation that Errol Spence is not only looking for a new trainer, so he is severing his relationship with your man Derrick. It hasn't been a very good year for Derrick James. I just want to go ahead and kind of point that out. Or that
And financially, it's been good,
has, yeah, I would say that, yeah,
which is what makes this all the more interesting. Which
yeah.
is why I think there's a little bit more to this than just
Yeah,
the
because
business.
you
But
say
go ahead.
financially, but one of the things is that we are hearing that Derrick James has sought counsel in an effort to recover unpaid um finances from Errol Spence from the Terrence Crawford fight. But we're gonna let Boston Jared kind of give us a little bit of background information on what is actually going on.
Yeah, I mean, look, that was pretty much it. There's so much. There's a lot more rumor out there than there is actual fact. If you go on to the credible boxing news outlets like Boxing Scene and Bad Left Hook, last time I checked, there isn't a whole lot of substantive reporting
Hmm.
out there. It's a lot of rumor and innuendo. Um, Nestor Gibbs from the Boxing Voice apparently had an interesting conversation with somebody, a source of his, who broke the situation down. What it sounds like is that Derrick James is pursuing legal action, as you stated, Cam, against Errol Spence in an attempt to recover unpaid funds that James feels as though he has owed from the Terrence Crawford fight, a fight that was probably the biggest fight of Derrick James's career from a financial standpoint. I can't remember exactly how much guaranteed money Errol Spence was owed, but the discrepancy in what's being reported seems to be: did Errol Spence not pay the amount that was owed to Derrick James in accordance with their contract? Or did Errol Spence elect to not give Derrick James a percentage of the pay-per-view back end? That's the point. That is what's unclear. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Eventually the story is going to break. There's way too much smoke around this for there to not be any fire. Eventually this story will break. A Michael Benson or a Steve Kim or a Dan Raphael will write a comprehensive article and outlining all the details. Right now, that's really all we got. And the question that I had asked Dave, since Dave has actually signed these contracts with professional fighters. Dave has been in and around camps with high level pros, have signed contracts with professional trainers. Dave has been around high level trainers, and Dave kind of gave us the breakdown in the pre-pro. He gave us too much of a breakdown. Dave, Dave, can you go over a little bit of what you talked about us with the pre-pro in terms of like what is what what is in these types of contracts? Like, right. Is it strictly on a fighter by fighter basis? If you go, a lot of people are under the impression that trainers get 10% of a guaranteed purse, which is what you specifically said is not necessarily the case. If I'm not mistaken, you said that it really is dependent upon the agreement that the fighter has with the trainer. It's a
Contract,
case by
yeah.
case basis. One, and two, have you ever heard of an instance where a trainer has negotiated a percentage of a back end for a pay per view, which is what seems to be the issue here?
Right. Yeah. So first of all, that contract is just what it says it is. It is whatever you put in that contract. So even to the point to where, we know there's sometimes there's rehydration clauses in the contract. Sometimes there's a rematch clause in the contract. So what you guys got to remember is that as those promoters are negotiating, you know, whatever you put in that contract is what it is. Now, with that being said, most of the times, you coming up when it's the boxer and the trainer or whatever, you starting out early in this game, and then it might just be, hey, of the purse that I'm making, here's a percentage that I'm going to give to you. But then as these guys get bigger, bro, there's so many people come in to that circle of that fighter, the manager, who's the one that's doing the negotiations or whatever, the trainer as well. And then there's sometimes there'll be some fights that take place. What I'm meaning is, it's this boxing, this training. It's been that way for so long. Hey, listen, man, I done started you from the amateurs to when you had no fights. It's just been us. Now you big time. You bringing in this. All right. So to be crystal clear, it is whatever is put in that contract. That is what is paid out and owed. Very, very rarely, you know what I'm saying? For somebody to say, I'm getting X, Y, and Z, on the back end. From that coach's angle, I'm getting a part of this pay-per-view or whatever, that promoter, that manager, they tend to deal with that big piece of the pie. And I would say this too, and I just want to put this out there to all fighters that's out there. One of the things that I say, because this is one of the most crooked sports in the world, I tell fighters and that I deal with, hey, listen, man, you shouldn't be giving up, no more than like 70% of your purse. You should not be giving up no more than 70% of your purse. And a cat 70%? Like that that's done had all these different fighters, even if he's getting 10%, he's doing pretty well with some of the purses and the paydays, you know what I'm saying? Now, if you're smart, and you got that relationship with your fighter, you might want to say the total purse that you're taking in, because yeah, you're right. It is a business. Here's the guaranteed money, blah 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 blah. Then here's the stuff that's on the back end. But look, the trainer and the coach. If this fighter goes out here and he gets a contract with Nike, he goes out here, he gets a contract with whoever, Adidas or Cheerios. That's not none of my money. That's okay. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up, Dave, because I wanted to ask you a follow-up question. So let's and again, there isn't a whole lot of fact out there right now. So let's move this to a more, come at this from a more abstract angle and look at this morally, right? Just from a man-to-man point of view. You're talking about a guy in Derrick James who has been with Errol Spence from the beginning, right? Yes, he was a heralded amateur fighter, Olympic medalist. Is Derrick James in the right? Is it reasonable of a guy like Derrick James to come to a fighter who has made the biggest purse he's ever made, the biggest back and the biggest pay-per-view fight of his career, and ask for a piece of that has not been pre-negotiated? Is that unreasonable for Derrick James?
You shouldn't be asking for any money, man, that's not talked about and negotiated through. I don't care what degree of relationship that you have with this individual, man. You guys talk about, hey, just give me X amount of the absolute stated purse, and then or you talk about it and put it in the contract. Hey, definitely, man, give me X amount of the stated guaranteed purse, but on the back end in terms of what you're getting out of the pay-per-view stuff or whatever, can I at least get whatever 2%, 3% of that? Everything in terms of what's dealing with money is you can talk about. But at the end of the day, to be honest, at the end of the day, doesn't care, the relationship that we have. I might be like a dad to some of these guys. I might be like a counselor to some of these guys. You see what I'm saying? I might be, financial advisor to some of these guys. But at the end of the day, I'm training you to fight. I'm being in your corner. Give me X amount of money for being in your corner, and then that's it. Whatever this fighter makes, man, you know, on his own, whatever endorsements that he get, that's his.
That's him. He's putting his body, his bone, his limbs.
Yeah,
but Dave, as a trainer, you doing, out of everybody who's involved in boxing, the guy who does the most aside from the fighter is the trainer. Am I not? Is that not true?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, man. And the reason why I say that is because this. Take for instance, hit hard boxing. We're when it comes to that sweet science, man, and getting in there and doing that thump, that's me. I'm the sweet science. Here's how we throw this punch. I study the fighter. You know, I study the opponent. This is how we're gonna systematically break this fool down and give him a bad day. You know, that's me. But then you got like my man, Coach Jenkins, man. I hope we can have him on here one day. Coach Jenkins is the strength and conditioning coach. I don't know nothing about no strength and conditioning. I'm just thick and delicious looking just because that's just natural. I don't know nothing about I don't know nothing about you know, we lifting weights. You know, this guy, my man is developing our fighters. You know, he knows what exercise to do to help with what punch. You know, that's a lot of work, man. He maintains the weight, man. He the strict nutritional stuff. So that's that. And then also, bro, you got the now the cut man might just come in on fight night, but this guy got to know exactly what he's doing, how to stop those bleedings. You know what I'm saying? So I might do a lot, bro, but you can't take away from that strength and conditioning side of it as well, man. You know what I'm saying? You just can't, bro. You can't take away from it. So to me, you know, like I was saying, I would say again to any fighter, man, I just want to make sure people hear me clearly on this. Whatever's in that contract is what's in that contract. I would encourage every fighter though. Hey, listen, man, you don't give up no more than 70% of your purse, man. And that other 30% can be broken down however you decide to do it. Your main head coach, if you want to give him 10%, 20%, or whatever. The cut man, if you want to give him 3% of the purse, however it is that you work it. But listen, man, them days of Don King and all that stuff is gone. You got these managers that's out here, you know, trying to do the talking for these fighters as to where, you know, sometimes you might not even necessarily need a manager, bro, to be honest with you, man. Because if you tight with your promoter, you can work it out. You can work it out. I'm just being honest and real with you, man. So what's in the contract is what's in the contract. Normally it's just a set amount. This is what you're getting from the purse. I say the pay-per-view stuff and all of that. That's the fighter stuff. If you as a trainer know there's going to be some back end, then go ahead on and try to talk to your fighter and say, out that purse, I'm going to jack up my percentage. Instead of 10%, give me 13 or 12. But you got to work it out. But there can be no coming after the money on stuff that's negotiated.
Yeah, don't come in afterwards at the
all right. So okay. So that for you guys, y'all heard it from a guy who is a professional trainer who's been in, I'm not gonna get into his accolades and who he's been around, but Coach Dave is very, very much in the business. He's done this. He's worked with pro fighters. Y'all heard it. If it's not in it, so Dave, suffice it to say, if it's not in the contract, then you are not entitled to it. So if they had conversations, or if they had some sort of handshake or verbal agreement, then all that shit's null and void from a business standpoint, right? We're not talking.
Yeah.
We're not talking about legally.
We're talking about from litigation and all that. But let's bring in. We need to close out. Let's bring in the casual rant on there. So what's your thoughts?
My thing is,
go ahead.
My thing is, it's sad and disappointing, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand contracts and everything, but if you think about it, man, this wasn't Spence's first pay-per-view fight. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it was about the signed contract or not. You know what I'm saying? The last 5 fights, you can go all the way back to the Mikey Garcia, were all pretty much pay-per-views. So what changed? What changed between the Crawford fight and the Ugas fight, the Garcia, Porter, the Mikey Garcia? What changed in that contract to
Well,
where now
I can tell you
James
one thing
has
that changed.
The
I mean
amount
the
of money.
number.
The
Yeah,
result.
the money changed.
Why? What the
The money
result?
The
changed. You know what I'm
result.
saying? So,
The
but if
result.
I
That's what
never,
changed. Yeah.
but I'm saying though, if you talk about contracts, you know what I'm saying? Like if I never got a piece of the pay-per-views in those other 4 fights, why do I think I deserve money on this fight? I think it's just it's sad to say, and y'all know me, man. The whole time I was rider for Spence, man. I rode for Spence, but to me, there's like just like a sad episode because it to me is showing that, you know what I'm saying, like no matter the family appeal that they sold to us, because like throughout the last 5-6 years, it was like Derrick James, Errol Spence, and Errol's dad. It was like a tight knit family. It wasn't so, you know what I'm saying? Because now you fighting over money. And then my next question is, you know what I'm saying, like with Frank Martin. Frank Martin is managed by Errol Spence, but is he still going to be trained by Derrick James?
Mhm.
That's a question. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no,
So
that's a very, very interesting. That's
What?
interesting.
Hey, that could be it. But if Earl is managing him, then Earl and Frank is the ones that's talking about what to do with the money. Period.
Yeah.
yeah, but I understand contracts. But my thing is, what was the difference of this besides the number of the dollar signs? What was the difference in this contract that Derrick James saying that I'm being shorted versus what he got
Well, I
in
mean,
the other
is that
pay-per-view
necessarily
fights?
true? So from what I'm reading is that he has not been paid his trainer fees. So that just means that
Then
there
that's
was
just straight up wrong. Period.
Yes. Now
exactly like
that
that's just
tells
straight up
me,
wrong. That's just
That's just
like
straight
yes,
up wrong.
yes,
yeah,
Period.
that's just straight up
that
wrong.
is
Period.
and that is why to me it seemed like this was less about contracts and more about principle. Like you had me believing I was gonna beat this nigga Crawford up. You had me believing I was the big fish. I was the eye collector. I was gonna do all this. You had me you had me execute this game plan that got me beat half to death. That's what initially when I first heard this, that's what came to my mind. Like, oh, this motherfucking mad because he lost.
I mean,
More so because
I don't.
like what Randy said, this was never ever an issue. Like that Mikey fight did pretty good for today's standards on pay-per-view. And to our knowledge, there was never ever an issue about paying guys money. But based on what Cam is telling us, what he's reading, Derrick James hasn't gotten paid the money that is contractually owed to him. And
Yeah, and if
again,
that's the case,
this is
Earl
still
wrong.
the big discrepancy. We don't know what's what yet. We don't know what Derrick James is actually pursuing. So we're gonna have to wait and see what the hell, get some more fidelity on this, right? Like we just don't know enough yet.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And if that's the case, man, he ain't being paid contractually, then yeah, he wrong. And here's another thing you got to think about too, man. It might be some contracts. I mean, most of the times, man. I mean, when you at that daggone Earl Spence Crawford money or whatever, man. I mean, most of the time, they can find out what the purse is, and most of the time, them cats already got it in the bank to pay them jokers up front. Sometimes, man. I mean, if you really doing business right, you know what I'm saying?
Bomac apparently got a $2 million bonus off that Spence fight.
I mean, that's
That's the
what
word on the
happens
street.
when you get that W.
Yeah.
When you take that L,
Everything
you
sweet,
be
man,
in
on
the
the winning
feelings like,
side.
man, like
That's
that
a lot
game
of hot
plan.
Cheetos, nigga. This nigga he could buy he could buy the Cheetos factory, nigga, with
Hey, but think about it, yo. So,
$2 million.
hey, Spence might be
Yeah.
done. Do you think Spence was like, man, this all the money I'm gonna make in boxing? So, hey, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep it all.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, and I was trying to figure out a way to bring this up in our last Tim Zeus segment, but Tim Zeus trainer Glenn Jennings was on the Boxing Voice this morning. Shout out to Ness and Danny and them guys over at the Boxing Voice, and they were asked about the WBO's mandate to negotiate with Crawford. More specifically, they were asked whether or not they'd be willing to drop and vacate that WBO belt to pursue a fight with Spence and not pursue a fight with Crawford. So, damn, I forgot where I was going with that. What was it you said?
Well, he was saying like, is this the end for? Because like Spence is.
Oh, that's right. Is this the end? So one thing that Tim Zoo's trainer pointed out was that, look, the last thing we saw of Errol Spence, he was on holiday with his girl somewhere, and the manager was like, "Hey, shout out to him. He has the right to do whatever he wants." But Errol Spence looks like he's living his life on vacation. Crawford's in the gym training, getting ready for his next fight. So to me, based off of that statement, it seems to me that at least for now, Errol Spence does not factor into the equation at 154 pounds. Now, whether or not Errol is done, I don't know. But he is not a factor now. So I don't know if he's done. If someone put a gun to my head and say, hey, is he done or is he not? I would probably lean towards this nigga's done. I would lean towards it. And I go back to the conversation we had about Jermell Charlo earlier. You just made a ton of money fighting this guy, Spence. Oh shit, that's you. All right, we get ready to wrap up. All right, I don't want to be too long-winded. Let's start. I know it is late. I got some jerk pork I got to throw in the oven too. So yeah, we can wrap up.
Hey. You gonna have me in a boxing match with my wife. I don't get off.
Oh man! All right, yeah. Let's go. This okay. We've been on this segment.
Hey, man, great bringing this back up, man. Great seeing y'all fellas, man.
Hey man, we need to make sure we don't treat this thing like daggone church at Easter time. That's the only time we.
Hey man, look. Whenever y'all want to rock out, I'm ready to rock out. Okay.
Yeah, you started this when you was leaving for 3 weeks in January.
I mean, yeah, you be international jet setting now.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I tell y'all, hey,
you do. Get that, yeah.
I say I'm getting ready to leave, but if I say hey, let's go, I'm there.
No, yeah,
rest of y'all,
you be on it. Yeah, you be on it.
Y'all got other life stuff going on and be canceling and shit like that. So hey, I'm here. Let's go. I love doing this. This shit fun for me. I love this shit.
But yo, for all the pundits, it is. We see y'all next week. We appreciate y'all. I know we got some of those messages that were just like, where y'all at? And we
back.
We back.
Yeah, done.
So this is your man, Professor Nims. I'm signing off for Coach Dave. Casual Rand.
Peace.
Boston Jarrett. You know what it is. We are the pundits of pugilism. We'll check y'all next week. Peace.